over its body other than the face itself.
There are, in fact, 4 different types of, what we think of as Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Very wide, pronounced nose. There was also a very ominous odor.
Phase 1 is to identify opportunities. I walked into a small clearing in less than 10-15 feet away from this enormous creature, and it scared the living hell out of me. Phase 2 is conducting investigations both of witnesses and locations. The size of the thing, it was 4 or 5 feet across the shoulders. Phase 3 is profiling research areas, what's there, how they move, feeding, things like that. About 8 feet tall, I guessed around 800 pounds. It was massive. I had no idea that anything like that existed. Phase 4 is create an intercept plan. I decided to shoot in the air to see if maybe it would scare it off. Phase 5 is the intercept and resolve the issue phase. It didn't do anything, didn't react, and then I heard a noise from my right rear, and from out behind some brush come another one, walked over by the first one. That's when I decided to do what the dog did. I took off running. Welcome to Witness of the Unknown. Hi everyone, I'm talking with Don in Maine again. Don, you had some things that you had messaged me about that you wanted to bring up that we didn't talk about last time. So I'm going to go ahead and let you just go ahead and take the mic and lead us where you want to lead us.
Okay. There was a question on Facebook when I put the prints out there about the size of the foot. And I had the measure out there, and someone was saying it was 12 inches, but what I didn't want to get into it explaining to him was most of the casts that I've seen for years in the cast that you have is the foot goes into mud or sinks down into mud or something. So the cast size is going to be the sides of the foot. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the casts that I took out of my driveway are of the pads of the foot. So the sides of the foot never actually touched, you know what I mean? So I don't have the width of the foot. I have just the pads.
Oh, I see. Right. You didn't get the full effect of the foot sinking.
Right, correct. So that's what I was going to explain to the guy on there, but I hadn't seen him on there for a while. But that's what I got on mine. Like the measurements, you can actually see like the sides of the foot made a little puff into the clay or into the sand, and it did leave a slight little imprint where you can see the outline of the foot and the width of it. But I only actually cast the pad, you know.
Yeah, so, I mean, and that's one of the characteristics of tracks. It really depends on the medium that they're left in as to what kind of an impression you're going to get.
Right. So what I was going to say is I could see the outer line of the foot where it made a little mark in there. So that's the length that I was measuring. I wasn't measuring just the pads because that would make, it would make it a little shorter.
Do you want to mention what the dimensions are so that if anybody's listening, they can, they'll know that?
Yes, they are. They worked out to one foot seemed to be like 12 and a half and one was 12 and 3/4. The one you thought had an injury is the shorter one. It always seemed to have the toes in a more crunched state, I guess.
Yeah, kind of a curled position.
Curled, right. Yeah, so that one was slightly shorter than the other one, but the other one was like 12 and 3/4 when I really got a good measurement on it. Where it sunk into the sand a little bit. You can, get the measurement there.
You bring up a good point about the pad. and not the rest of the foot. I have
Right.
some really good pictures that were sent to me by a moose hunter, and I put a few of them in my book, The Minnesota Iceman, as an example of what are probably type 4 prints, and also that they're probably juvenile. They're very similar in size to what you cast. And some of those were in loose gravel, so you got more of the foot, and the foot looked like a lot of the prints that came from Northern California and other places, typical Sasquatch type tracks. And
Right.
some of the prints in the line were on hard packed clay that was had been rained on, so you got just that pad. And the tracks look very different in the same line of prints.
Right. Right. And so what would the measurement be when you measure a foot like that? You would just be measuring the pad length, I guess.
True. Yeah, because the rest of the foot hasn't really made much of an impression in that material.
Yeah.
And then there's also slippage sometimes too, so it can vary a little bit.
Right. Right. Yeah, see, that was my question, because even the sides of the cast I have, I don't have a lot of the sides of the feet.
Hmm.
Some areas it's just the pad, two pads you can see.
Right. Just
So,
a part of the foot making contact with the soil.
yeah, it was very hard packed sand out there, and it's been dry here all summer, and there is clay mixed in there. So there's a little powdery effect to it too.
Yeah. And plus, I think those are juvenile prints, so
Hmm.
you're not going to have the weight you would have with an adult.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to talk to you about, because I those measurements would have to be written down as a pad measurement, not the foot
Right.
length. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that was my big question about them. And they've quieted down a little bit. They're still making their noises. They were doing them last night. And
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you'd had any additional activity since we talked last.
yeah, each night they do their little owl sounds, and they make some um, just some yelling. I hear some more yelling that sounds like a person yelling, but really a deep voice. And I've heard that before in some recordings. And it usually comes in about the same time, about 1 o'clock. And they seem to, I don't know, they seem to quiet down or move away a little bit because the leaves have fallen. So I can see into the woods a little further now.
Oh, yeah.
The moon was out nice last night. I could hear him out there, and I was really expecting to see him step right out in the moonlight. And it sounded like he was going to, but he was just a little bit further in the woods. So,
I was wondering, too, you mentioned some of these official vehicles that were around there with government plates. Have you seen any
yeah.
more of that?
No, actually, no. Ever since that night, they sped right by me, because I go out there often, so I was catching them. I got them about 5 times, and like I said, every time only once I got to approach. It was the first time, and the guy just stared at me as I went by, and I was riding my bicycle by him. He was parked off the road, on the other side of the road, like parked the wrong way, facing my house. So I got on my bicycle and drove past him, and I was going to say something to him, but windows were up, and he just stared at me as I went by, and I got about 50 feet past him, and he started up and took off. Ever since then, every time I've approached, they took off. And after that one night, it was a sport utility. And as soon as they saw me, I have a little headlamp. As soon as they saw my headlamp looking at them from my driveway, they just started up and took off. And they were down the road a couple 100 yards, and they came right past me. They never let off the gas. They had two little blue square lights right in the middle of their grill. They didn't flash. They weren't really bright. They were like a semi-bright fog light is what they looked like. But they went by me, and yeah, it definitely had a government plate, and it had lights on the top, but they weren't on.
Well, that's
And
interesting.
that was the last night. And the helicopters, they were coming up and going around the ponds and coming right back the way they came. And I'll tell you one thing about that helicopter. I could hear it for 10, 15 minutes. Just chug, chug, chug. I could hear it. I couldn't figure out where it was. And then all of a sudden, there it was over the house. It was fairly quiet
Hmm.
compared to most helicopters you see around here. It just went slow over the area, and then it went around the ponds, and then it went back the way it came, and that was 2 or 3 nights that was out.
Now, the flight path it was taking, is that right around where the creatures have been doing what they do?
Yeah, that would be the area you would go look from my house. Yeah, because that's the open area into the woods.
That's interesting. I put some feelers out, but I haven't heard back yet on any official or unofficial
Right.
activity in your area there.
Yeah, it was definitely odd because you don't see these guys hanging out here. I never see,
They weren't game official type vehicles, or
they were fishing game.
they were fishing game.
Yeah, but I'm not sure of the one at night. It was all dark. I couldn't see any writing on it. I'm not sure of the one at night, but during the day, yeah, it was a green pickup.
Okay, that's interesting. That they normally wouldn't be anything for them to hang around your place for.
No, not to just sit there. No, and it was odd that they were sitting right there. If you were gonna sit there and like watch this area, my house, that's the only place you can pull off to the side of the road. And it was just odd that they were there. And I'm telling you, when I went by, I said hi to him, and he just stared right at me, didn't move, didn't say a word. And I said, "Huh."
Yeah, that's
So I
kind
went
of
by
odd.
him.
Yeah, I've run across fishing game guys quite a few times over the years, and usually they, are pretty chatty.
Right, yeah, I've seen them down at the ponds over the years down here. I'd go fishing down here, and I always say hi to them and talk to them, and they just drive through, and you never see them again. They'll come through, and they're gone,
Yeah.
But not hanging up across from my house. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not directly across, but...
That's a little unsettling.
Yeah, I'm going, geez. Well, maybe they want to try to keep an eye on them, And where they were parked that night would be an area that they would cross. It's one of the areas that I think they cross.
It was curious to me, if that's what they were there looking at or looking for, how they got the information, what tipped them off to look in that particular spot, because we've had you on a few times, but we never mentioned where you are.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they could probably just figure it out, write my name or...
Well, I mean, or if somebody else has, seen something, maybe reported.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. There are some people that just don't say anything to me.
Yeah.
Don't say yay, nay, or anything. They just don't. Do
you get many cars driving by where you live?
No, not a lot.
Is it mostly people who live around there, or?
Yeah. Sunday nights around here, you won't see a car go by for 2 hours sometimes.
I was just wondering. I was just wondering if maybe somebody had seen something cross the road, maybe called, the police or something, or game, and said, "Hey, there's, a bear or something out here."
Yeah, there's a lot of bear seen around here, but everyone knows, it's a bear.
Probably not too big a deal to locals.
No, not really. There was a guy downtown a few years ago that hung a mountain lion up in his front yard after he shot it because they don't exist,
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was them that told him to take it down.
More than likely, yeah.
But no, you don't usually. They'll come by at the ponds every once in a while. Game will come by and check for license, but not often. Not really. I've seen them maybe 3-4 times in 15, 16 years.
Wow.
So it's definitely odd, like someone sitting there. Nobody pulls over there.
Well, especially in conjunction with all the activity that's been going on around your house.
Yeah, and just the way I went by the first time, I mean, he had mirrored sunglasses on, just staring at me as I went by, and I definitely put my hand out and waved to him, said hi, and he didn't move.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know what that was, and then one or two more times I saw him out there, and just every time I step out into the road, they just go. I said, wow,
that's interesting too. The fact that they're there until you're present, and then that triggers their response to leave.
Yeah. Just with the one pickup up the road, the one at night. I don't know. exactly. I know they had lights on the top, and it
Mhm.
was a sport utility dark color. But yeah, they definitely, and they put the blue lights on in the front.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and they blew right by me. I mean, that was for me because there's nothing else out there. There was nothing else on the road, no other cars, nothing. It's quiet out there.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it was interesting. So, but nothing for a while. I go up into the woods a lot, and and there's hunters up there now, so I'm sure they're around during hunting season, but I haven't seen any.
Just a little different behavior with hunters out and about.
Yeah, yeah. Usually you'll see them riding around because there's a lot of trucks on the side of the road here and there from out of staters.
Oh, sure.
It- You'll see them pulled over talking to them, but I've never seen the pickup. You don't see a pickup. You usually see a guy in a sport utility or something, a little
Yeah.
bit more official than almost a work type truck.
Yeah, sounds more like a utility type vehicle.
Yeah, that's what it seemed to me. And there was nothing going on there. He wasn't with anyone. He was just sitting there, facing my house, my driveway. So
Is there any sort of hunting or anything around the ponds this time of year?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, maybe. I mean, it could. It's possible. It could be they were just keeping tabs on that area. But then again, it sort of raises questions in my mind, like with all this proliferation of activity you've had, and then the appearance not just of the vehicles but the helicopter as well for on consecutive nights.
yeah. That was odd. Yeah, because that doesn't happen unless there's a fire or something. You'll see him going over grabbing water from the ponds, but he wasn't grabbing water.
Yeah, you're not exactly near any sort of airports where you'd be in a flight path, are you?
Not for small. No, not really. I get the flight path from Bangor, but that's 30 miles north.
Okay, so it's not typically an area a helicopter would be flying over.
No, no, no. Once in a while, you'll see them up higher. Going over.
Hmm.
Some army or whatever. But not this low. This was right over. This was a low copter, low and quiet, very
Yeah.
quiet.
You know,
It was,
it made me think of when I talked to Jay a while back and the folks in Alabama. They had a lot of activity around a pond, very similar kind of situation, setting wise.
mhm.
And but one of the last times Jay was down there with his son, and there was another guy, I believe, that went with him. They had kind of the same thing. There were these vehicles in the area and also helicopters flying around that sounded it was almost an identical situation to what you described happening at your place.
Ah, yeah, that's funny. Now you think they just keep a track of them, or
I think it depends on what's going on. Maybe different behavioral characteristics.
yeah,
Um, I mean, just being close to people's houses might be enough to trigger this response by the people that are uh, unofficially taking a look at them. So I don't
right.
really know.
Yeah, I could see that. Just trying to keep an eye on them, but I don't think I've noticed like up where I do the recordings and everything. They're still there every night. Like you can hear them in there, and they're still doing their thing, and nothing has seemed to change too much.
Yeah, they probably don't really bother people much, at least at this point. So, and it
Right,
could be that's why they're watching them to make sure that they aren't.
right, right. And geez, now they know where they are every night. So,
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
so but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna bother them. But yeah, I think they're probably trying to keep track or see where they are. Now that other gentleman I talked to, the one that was trapping beaver.
Hmm.
I haven't seen his picture yet. He has the picture at the store, and I haven't met up
Oh,
yet. But
yeah, that's right.
I'll send that to you as soon as I see that. But yeah, he still says the same thing. He wishes he never talked to me.
Oh, well, that happens in this business. I mean,
Yeah, because he never really looked down. He said, I've never really looked down and looked for prints like that.
yeah.
And then he ran across them. I really think it's the drought we're having. I think there's more than one in this area. I really do. More than one group.
Yeah, it's very possible, sure.
Yeah, I mean, we just had 6 inches of rain, and 2 days later, you would never know we just had 6 inches of rain. Everything is still very low. Water's still low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's for fresh water. There's not too many choices, you know.
Yeah, that's limiting for sure.
Right? Yeah, and I really think it's bringing them in because we were out there fishing one night, and after it got dark, this was in the end of August. And I just laid quiet as it got dark, and I was seeing if anything was coming down to the water.
Mm-hmm.
And right across the pond from us, two something came down. It was big enough for us to hear them take off, crashing, going through the woods, but we didn't hear them come to the water. But we were laying there, and we said something, or I whistled. I think I whistled. And these things took off into the woods, trying to sound like dogs. Running through. Yeah, they were not dogs, and as they got into the woods, they sounded like a hound dog.
You mean the vocalizations? But did they sound like bipedal creatures running?
It was tough. We could hear it was whatever it was fast, and it was crashing. It was across the water, probably a couple hundred yards, few hundred yards, and but it just the sound it was making. It was trying to make a bark, is what it sounded like. And then we could tell it wasn't a bark. We didn't know what it was. We thought bear at first, but then it turned into like a hound dog. That's what it sounded like, a hound dog. It was what they were trying to do. Now I don't think that particular spot is a few miles from my house. It's the same network of ponds. There's like 4 or 5 ponds in a row. Mm-hmm. And we're way at the other end. And this is where this gentleman over at that end had his footprints. So there could be another one over there, because I know what came down to the water, if it was a squatch or whatever, it wasn't part of the group that's up near my area.
Right.
Yeah, I know it wasn't, because they would have to travel quite a distance, through yards, and I know it wasn't the same group. These came from a different area, a deeper part of the woods. But it was just the bark they were trying to do. It was definitely they were trying to bark, but we knew it wasn't a bark. We were looking at each other going, oh, man, I wish I had the recorder. Because we were just out fishing, But, yeah, so I really think there's more over there. And I did go over and check that area out with my cousin's son, and right where that spot is a little creek, or a little stream comes in there. Mm-hmm. So where they came in on this little creek, and they took off up the rocks. So there was not much for prints. Whatever was there, we couldn't find any prints.
Yeah.
So I think they went right up the rocks, right up the creek.
I've heard of that a number of times.
Yeah, because whatever was there did not leave any marks, and it was crashing. I heard stuff breaking, and we knew it was too big of something, but it was fast and it was big. So,
and the same thing with the bark. The type of bark you describe, even clear back into some of John Green's old, documentation in his books, where people talked about. And there was one story I remember this that sticks in my mind. Something about the creature giving a harsh bark.
It was harsh. Like an old man trying to do a dog bark, you know what I mean? Like a really harsh.
Yeah, and then in his story, he didn't really say that the person said it sounded like a dog, but when they say bark,
right,
it sort of leaves it open to, I guess, some interpretation. But why use that term if it isn't meant to sound like a bark, like a dog?
Right. It was definitely, that's what we thought it was trying to sound like, but it didn't. It just sounded like an old man going, rah, rah, rah. I don't know. It's kind of hard to do it, but
yeah.
But yeah, it was a strange sound. And then when they got into the woods a little ways, they were doing a howl like a hound dog. I said, what the heck is that? It wasn't a hound dog over here, but now it's a hound dog out there.
Yeah, very strange.
It was strange. Yeah, so we ended up getting out of there because
good plan.
I really think that could be another group, because there's really no fresh water out in the woods like there normally would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, normally this time of year, the snow is on the ground and the ground's frozen. You don't see the ground till the springtime.
Right.
Usually you don't see the ground on Halloween. Halloween, the ground's usually frozen and snow covered. But the past few years have been really crazy. It's been really dry in these long falls or long summers, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it's changing. They need to move around to get that fresh water. All animals, you know, I have moose coming through my yard.
Right.
So yeah, all the animals are moving to that water, and then they move away, and they come right back through the yard. And I know where they go. They go into another deep area of woods.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's right in the path, but I think a lot of animals are moving down to that water.
Yeah, it's very likely. I mean, they got to have it, so they're going to go to what's available.
Yeah, and the other rivers around are not the cleanest because of the old mills and everything that were on them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think they know they need where the fresh water is, and these ponds are fresh water. They're not good water.
Mm-hmm.
So that's but they are still at the recorders each night. They're right around them. I had one last night that was doing the owl thing, but it just wouldn't let loose. It was just doing the call, and then it would just start to get a little crazy, and it would just stop. But it was right near the microphone. And it just seems to be one again. Just one, and the other ones come in later on, and you can hear them coming in the background. You can hear them doing the owl whoops up there, and then this one will always respond with whistles. And then they all get together and do a bunch of owl whoops, and usually they hang around, though, until I've gone out there sometimes to get the recorder at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're there 10 minutes before I get the recorder. You can hear them doing the whistles, letting each other know that I'm coming.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe that they're there, though.
That's your sentry hanging around. Well, I mean, it could be, too, you know, with the time differences this time of year, you know, it gets dark earlier and light later, so that could have something to do with that too. Yeah,
it could. And I'm sure this microphone's picking them up a little bit further into the woods too. You know, they're a little bit further. I think that they're near the mics or near the recorder, and they're probably a couple 100 yards away.
Yeah.
You know, because that whistle they do is pretty loud. But I've noticed that there are a lot of chatter and even a couple of owl calls as soon as I pop my head up in the morning. Mm-hmm. They're watching me in the house. Like, as soon as I get up, they can hear me go down the stairs, I think. You know, I'm sure they can. But I'm going to wake up and hit a stopwatch as soon as I pop my head up and see exactly when they start that chatter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I swear, as soon, because sometimes I get up and my head is right near the window, I can just pop up and look out, and I hear it. There'll be little owl whoop out there, you know, just before it's getting light out, or usually about 6, they'll hear me get up, and they'll give a little whoop, and then I'll go out to get the recorder, and there they are chatting all the way till, like, right before I get to the recorder, they go quiet. So I know that they're there somewhere.
They're keeping a close eye on you.
They really are, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
I guess it depends on what they're doing, because they've got a sentry posted there, it sounds like, and they're keeping that close an eye on you, so there's something going on that they're doing that they need to feel that they need to keep an eye on you.
Yeah, and I think it's because they're very close to me. I think they're very close. Bedding down, I have an idea where they are, and they're close. There's not a lot of areas for them to go.
Right.
But I think they use 2 areas, because there's one direction that they always over the years have taken off in this one direction. But now I'm starting to think that that's like a diversion to let me think that they're going that direction, because the noises I'm hearing in certain dogs that bark, it let me know when they're coming. I know where they're coming from. It's a swampy area.
Hmm.
But
Do you have a lot of big timber around there, big trees?
yeah, yeah. There's
Okay.
some areas with some old trees up here. You know.
I'll send you a private message of something to look for there.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of eastern white pines, big ones. Those are the old ones you'll find around here.
Okay.
But,
Well, very interesting. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
no, nothing different has happened. Let me think. No, just nope. No, just the
Okay.
same. So everything's the same. Nothing's really changed. I mean, the behavior it's constant
Yeah.
for all these days, though, like consistent. The recordings sound over and over the same thing,
We
same time of
we had the
day, and
same. Yeah, we had the same thing. It's rare when it's a long time period like this, but it does occur. We had the same thing in Southwest Washington where it was day after day after day for months on end.
yeah, it's same thing. It's amazing me. I mean, I know where the recorder's set. I can get all the sounds in the woods around here,
Hmm.
and it picks up this whole side of the hill, and they just hear and doing the same thing all the time. And you can hear the other ones leave. And it's funny, you can hear them leave the one or two. Sometimes there's two here all night. Sometimes there's three here all night.
Let me ask you something. When you ran those vocals through, and I'm trying to remember what you said you ran them through to be able to tell, the volume,
It,
how much volume there was.
yeah, it's a on. I was using a wave pad. It's a spectral analysis.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that something you can actually like make a screenshot of?
I think I can.
I,
Yeah, I can probably do that.
I was wondering if you could do that. Maybe send me a couple of those.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do the one. The one I really noticed was the belch.
Okay.
How compared to my belch, how his just went off the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a really strange sound because any other audio I put it in, it doesn't sound like it does in the original audio that comes with my recorder.
Right.
And it sounds normal there, but you put it in any other audio software, and it sounds like a rim shot with drums. It goes.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, it's strange. And I've tried fixing it, and it just makes it worse. And I just leave it,
Right.
you know. But there is a lot of recordings here, like of just the craziest sounds.
Mm-hmm.
What sounds like crunching. It, it's not crunching though. It's the same thing. You can see it on the wave form of the sound. It's
Yeah.
the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely I notice how they start lower and then their amplitude goes higher, and all other animals and even humans, when we yell,
Mm-hmm.
our amplitude is high and then it goes down.
Right.
And I've noticed with these things, that's how I run through the audio quick, and I can pick them out,
Mm-hmm.
because I can always tell it's when it's them doing anything, any of their yells. They always seem to look the same. The amplitude ramps up.
Right. Right. And that's pretty typical. It has been over the years.
That is, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Some of these sounds they're making, but haven't had any. Like they come up to the mic all the time, but haven't had any other sounds of them, or just the P sounds. And I did have them do like the sound of like the letter A going
Mm-hmm.
doing that really quick. But I can actually hear the stomach gurgling sometimes, and it's close.
They're
I mean,
close. Yeah.
yeah, they brush against the microphone, and you can tell because they block the sound. The sound will just go away, and you can tell that something's there blocking it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. They know it's there, but they haven't done anything to it yet.
It's interesting they haven't touched it. Yeah.
And because the microphone I barely clip it on to like leaves or whatever. wherever I need to clip it, and it's not held on that tight. Any bump against it will knock it right off. So they're not really touching it, but they're getting right next to it.
That's interesting. You're definitely gonna have to keep me updated.
Yeah, I will. I think they'll be leaving soon. November 7th was the day they left last year.
That's coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah, November 5th was the day of Billy's encounter, where they just stood right up and let them know they were right out here.
It's like, we're here, we're leaving, see ya.
Yeah, I mean, that was the most aggressive thing they have done.
Yeah.
Was that day. After that, they just sit there and hoo-hoo and make noises at me. I had one doing an owl 3 or 4 nights ago. I heard an owl, what I thought was up on the hill behind me, up near the rock pile, and I'm listening to one in front of me walk around, and I kept hearing the one behind me. Then I realized it's not up on the hill. It's right behind me, and he's just doing it very quietly.
Right.
And I'm going, what the heck? And you can hear it on the recording. But I heard it much clearer sitting out in front of my house. He was right behind me doing it. But it sounded like it was up on the hill. Right. I think he was either turned around doing it, or I don't know.
That's what I think when we talked about that before. It sounded like, the sound was being projected a different direction.
Yeah, but you can tell that it wasn't coming from up on the hill after after listening to it, because you can hear the echo come around you from a sound on the hill. This was coming directly from one spot behind my house, and I'm pointing right at him. I'm going, "Oh my God, you're right there!" And holy cow, you're right there.
Yep.
And it just stopped, and that was it. He wouldn't do it anymore. But that's on the recording too. You can hear me saying that, and you can hear him making these weird whoo sounds, just going weird with it, just going woo woo. He's just going off with them.
Have you sent me that recording?
Yeah, I'll send you that. That was
it'd be interesting to hear that.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he was right behind me doing. So there was 2 of them here. One doing the hoo hoo and one walking in front of me.
I'll tell you what, they do some strange things sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the noises I'm getting. I know. I don't know who you have to listen to them all, but there's a lot. I've got 500, 700 hours, something.
Well, I think our anthropologist would love to hear some of those.
Okay, I'll send them to him.
Did I say I gave you his email address, didn't I?
Yeah, I could just send him the whole recording, because it goes on all night,
Yeah, and be sure to let him know that you ran it through a system to analyze those sounds, and why they're not other animal sounds because of the amplitude.
Oh, yeah. And there's just like pops and knocks and clicks go off all night.
It'll be interesting to get his take on that.
Yeah, it really is interesting to listen to. I just don't have the time to listen to all of them, because I do about 12 hours a night.
Yeah, that gets to be quite a bit after a while.
Yeah. So I go through it quick, but some of the noises don't pop up on my graph. Some are a little quiet and they don't pop up. So I find new stuff all the time that I just missed in the past.
Sure.
But I have a lot that I just haven't totally gone through yet. But I think that's about it.
Okay, well, very interesting, Don. I mean, as always.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, it's amazing, really. When I sit in my driveway, people look down my driveway and they go, "There's that crazy Bigfoot guy." And it's funny, because I look one way and see the people driving by, and I look the other way and I can hear them in the woods.
Right. So they're saying crazy, but on the other side, they're there.
You're right. They're right there. It's just kind of funny. My roommate went out and got some wood up in the hill tonight, and he came back down and said they were up there whistling at him, doing that high-pitched whistle.
Good Lord. Yeah,
so he just came back down. We do the same thing. I just raise my left hand. See you later. I'm going down.
Wow.
Yeah, they move in early. That's why I know they're not far away.
Right, right,
Yeah, they move in. I think they're there often, like all day, up, up in the back. They're somewhere.
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but I think, yeah, I think I have some ideas. But I'll look for that message you're gonna send me there
Yes,
about
absolutely.
the oak trees.
So we'll keep our eyes and ears on you, Don, and if
Okay.
anything changes, come back on. And great observation about the footprint, also.
Yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, definitely like for myself too. Like, how would you measure that? Because it's not really the foot; it's the pad.
Yeah, I guess that would have to
Oh,
be noted, on whatever notes you're keeping. That
okay.
that it wasn't the full foot that was impressed into the material, and talk a little bit about the material and when you're making those notes.
Okay, yeah, and I do have the pictures to go with it. And someone asked me, I didn't never even look to see if the tracks were in line, and they are. They
Yeah,
are in
and they
line.
should be, yes.
Yeah, so that was something that I didn't look for earlier, but I did notice that they were in line, so that was good. But I think I sent you the original video I took that day.
I think so, yes.
It's there somewhere. That was when I first noticed. I just grabbed that, and I thought they were knuckle prints. I thought because I couldn't see the heels.
Right, and
I
I spotted the heel right away, and I thought, well, no, there's something wrong with that particular foot.
Right, because yeah, with the camera you could see them,
Right.
but I noticed that afterwards. I'm going, geez, yeah, I can see them better in the camera. But right, you noticed something was funky with that foot. So so at least I got that video for the original from that day just to show like what it exactly looked like in the driveway.
Yeah, no, you did a good job, Don. Good work.
Well, I got lucky with that one. I've been looking for prints for a long time.
Well,
Long
they're few and far between, it seems sometimes. So
Yeah.
don't get discouraged.
No, no, I feel good now. That was like one off the bucket list. So, but I'm still head down to the ground looking for more prints. I mean, I'm always doing that for mushrooms and stuff anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Keep your
So,
eyes open.
yeah. So someone asked me about hair, and I explained to them that we have hair in the group. So I don't specifically look for hair. I do look for it
And
where
it's
I.
not something that's a big deal anyway, because we really can't do a great deal with it.
Okay.
I
Uh,
mean, the best we have, and I've talked about this, with the cop, that got the
yeah.
blood sample, and
Right.
and the DNA results came back from that. I mean, they come back unknown primate, and that's really the best you're going to get in a situation like that with a police chain of custody, and they did a $40,000 test on it. So,
Right.
what more could we do with hair? To be honest.
Right, correct. So our main focus is just to identify numbers in groups and
Exactly. That's one of the big
okay.
focuses. Then we can go further with it beyond that. So,
Yeah, true. Okay.
well, let's wrap it up, Don.
Yep.
Um, very interesting as always, and we will keep tabs on your situation.
Okay, yeah, I'll be here. It's it is definitely amazing. So I'll let you know if anything changes.
All right, Don. Well, listen. Thank you very much,
All right, you're welcome, Will. Thank you.
and we'll talk again real soon. And as soon as I'm off the air here, I'll send you that message of what I want you to look for.
Okay. Okay, good.
All right, Don. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks, Will. Have a great night.
All right, you too, my friend.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, everyone, for joining me this week. Be sure to tune in again next week as we explore another account from a witness of the unknown.